What's going on, everybody? It is that time again. Sooners Illustrated game preview time. Week 11, game 10. Oklahoma, Missouri. Saturday night in Columbia. Josh Callaway, James E. Jackson, Tom Green. Big one here, fellas. You got 3 games left. You got to win one to get to bowl eligibility. We all are in agreement this is the most gettable. In fact, Oklahoma has even swung from being an underdog to a favorite this weekend. A lot of injuries up in the air for both teams. It's going to make this kind of hard, but we're going to do the best we can. Huge game, right, guys? I mean, it goes without saying that Oklahoma, this is a game that you feel like you certainly can win. You want to get to that 6-win mark. There's a lot of disdain between these two fan bases, recruiting battles, transfers. There's a lot of storylines here, but just at the end of the day, this is just flat out a big game. Oklahoma really needs this one, and this will be a tough one to stomach if you have to come back from Columbia on Saturday with a loss.
Yeah, like you said, I mean, this of their final 3 games, this looks on paper to be the most winnable of the 3, especially with the questions that, Missouri has with its offense, particularly, whether Brady Cook's going to play and, whether, their leading running back, Nate Noel, is going to play. So that's probably why the book swung the other way for Oklahoma the last couple days, making them the favorite, a little less uncertainty on that end. Mm-hmm. But if you're Oklahoma, like, this is your chance to, A, extend that bowl streak, B, keep building some momentum. Like we talked about, like they kind of turned the corner offensively in that Ole Miss game, and then last week kind of got out of their rut completely with a pretty much definitional get right game against Maine. It's like Brent Venables talked about it a couple weeks ago. It's like they feel like they can get on a winning streak to close the season, and obviously to get on a winning streak, you need to win 2 in a row.
Yeah.
So.
Mm-hmm. I think I've been saying this all season. Like when OU had all of the injuries at the beginning of the year, I was like, well, maybe at the end of the year, they'll be ramping things up and getting their guys back. And other teams who are going through the SEC gauntlet will be dealing with some injuries themselves. I think maybe as of right now, it looks that way to where Missouri is kind of banged up and OU can get some guys back in this one and kind of pick up from what they did against Maine, which was we all agreed it was a stepping stone for this offense. And so really just want to get into that. I mean, just looking at that, it's a rivalry for the fan bases. I mean, you said it, Josh. We even asked Brent Venables about it. He said it's not spicy for me, but it can be spicy for the media and the fans because of it. Just seems like Missouri and Oklahoma are intertwined so much in terms of recruiting and things like that. Players have swapped sides from each team, so it's just like that all plays a part in here. So you want to win this one for a lot of reasons, but also, as Tom said, to get bowl eligible. I mean, that's one of the biggest reasons you want it. Is for that ability, but there's so much on the line for this game in terms of OU schedule and the rest of the things that they're going to do this year.
Yeah, a lot of toxicity between these two fan bases. We've had this one circle for a while, and here we go. We're going to be there on Saturday night. Looking forward to it. We've kind of alluded to it. Injury report. There's a lot of question marks. Literally, I mean, questionable was the buzzword of the availability report. Everyone's questionable. Javonte Barnes questionable. Gavin Sawchuk is questionable. Jalil Farouk, Deion Burks, Michael Tarquin. On the Missouri side, quarterback Brady Cook, Nate Noel, they're starting running back. So admittedly, a little hard to preview this game because there is so much who's actually going to be out there. But we'll do our best, and we'll see. Things do seem to be trending positively for the 2 wide receivers, Deion Burks and Jalil Farouk. I know that's scary. You try to go oven mitts on that because we've felt that way before. That's the way it seems. We'll see about Javonte Barnes. Hurt that ankle against Maine. How's he bouncing back from that? Up in the air there. So a lot to kind of be, pilfered through, but we'll see. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into this game a little bit. Keys to the game is how we typically like to start these. What's going to be the deciding factor for Oklahoma to either win or lose this? Tom, you can get us started. What's a key for you on Saturday night for the Sooners?
Yeah, for me, I mean, it starts with getting pressure on Drew Pine. Reading the tea leaves, it does not sound like Brady Cook is going to be available, and if he is, he's not going to be anywhere close to 100%, dealing with a bum ankle and an apparent, wrist-hand injury to his throwing hand. So Drew Pine might be the guy that's drawing the start for Missouri here. He hasn't been impressive when he's been in there, but when he's had a clean pocket, he's completed 73% of his passes. still a small sample size, but when he's faced with pressure, he's just 3 of 11 for 34 yards and interception. That's just 27% completion rate. When he's blitzed, his completion rate is 42.9%, 6 out of 14 for just 65 yards and interception. So like there's a clear drop off from when he's comfortable in the pocket and when he's facing pressure. And if we know anything about Brent Venables and Zach Alley, it's that they like to dial up pressure. And I think for them, they're going to need to not only just get pressure on Drew Pine, but confuse him. Find different ways to dial up blitzes. Don't pressure him every time. Show pressure and then back off. Do something to just keep him kind of thinking and off balance where he can't make quick decisions and get comfortable. Because if Oklahoma's defense can dictate this game, I think that's enough for the offense to, or the offense is able to do enough to kind of get them across the finish line. If the defense can, make Drew Pine look, kind of how he looked against Alabama, where he went out there and threw 3 interceptions in his first 4 drives after he came in.
I mean, that's exactly what I was going to say, was getting pressure, because you get even if it's the other quarterback going back in there who's banged up. Drew Cook. I'm blanking on his name for some reason. Brady Cook. Yeah, even if he's in there, he's banged up. He's not as mobile as he used to be, and so getting that pressure is a big deal. So I'll throw it to the same type of defensive line unit is stopping the run game. It's the same thing. I think if you can stop the run game and force Pine to have to throw the football to try to win this game, I think you're still in a good position. So that'll be my key, is stopping the run game here. Missouri has a banged up running back as well, so we'll see what happens with that and how that offensive line can handle what OU's putting down. I mean, they're really good at getting pressure. I mean, they've done really well with that this year. It's just getting to the sack has always been like the hurdle for OU's defensive line so far. But I think getting the pressure and stopping the run game is going to help the defense out a lot, and it'll bode well for OU.
Yeah, I'll flip it over to the offense. I'm very interested to see if Oklahoma can run the ball themselves in this game. Missouri has a top 10 passing defense in college football. It maybe is going to be rainy and sloppy. We kind of did this last week with Maine, and they moved the game up, and then ended up not having to really play in any weather. Missouri this weekend looks like it might rain early in the day, but either way, it's going to be probably cold and wet no matter what on Saturday. And Missouri's good at defending the pass. Devontae Barnes, like we just said, not 100%, not clear if he's going to be able to play this weekend. Gavin Sawchuk, I think, will be available this weekend. So can he get going? It's been a lost year for him. Taylor Tatum, I do think there's a chance we see a little more Xavier Robinson for what he did late against Maine. Can they run the football? I don't know if you're going to be able to just sit back and throw it around, even if the wide receivers are back, Farouk and Burks, and you're just going to throw all over the yard in this game. That just seems unlikely to me. So you're going to have to run to move the football, control the clock, and win the game. So run the football is going to be really important, I think, on Saturday. And who is it? If not Barnes, it becomes even more of an emphasis. Can someone step up? Because he's been so good the last couple of weeks especially. So that's a big storyline for me.
Yeah, to kind of piggyback off that, I mean, Missouri's got like a top 50-ish run defense on the year, but in SEC play, they're giving up 190 yards per game in SEC play, and they've given up 200 yards in each of their losses to Texas A&M and to Alabama. I think Alabama last week 2 weeks ago had 271 rushing yards against Missouri. So as the competition has gotten better, their run defense has not been as good, and Oklahoma has obviously done a really good job, especially these last 2 weeks since Joe John Finley took over as play caller, of kind of establishing the run and doing a good job of building off that. We talked about it, 200 plus sack adjusted rushing yards against a very good Ole Miss run defense, 381 last week against Maine. To me, for Oklahoma's offense to be successful, for as good as Jackson Arnold has been since coming back, it's about keeping that run game going.
It'll be fun to see if Xavier Robinson can get back out there, because he's played in 3 games now, if I'm thinking correctly. Yes. So it'll be his 4th. And now Brent Venables he told us on Tuesday that he wants to hold his red shirt. So that'll be his final game if he actually gets in there. So if he does play, you would think it's going to be a significant amount of time while the other running backs, while the other running backs are getting a little healthy. So that'd be pretty fun to see. But we'll see what happens with that. I mean, you still got Sam Franklin, guys like that can play as well. So we'll see.
Yeah, running back health everywhere, because like you guys brought up, on the other side, Missouri too, Nate Noel has been pretty underrated this year. I think he's top 50 in yards per carry, but they do have another guy, Marcus Carroll, who's had a pretty good year too, 6 touchdowns, I believe. So a lot of running back storylines in this one. Shifting over to players to watch. There's a lot on both sides because there's been so many transfers and recruiting battles and things like that, and connections between one another. Where do your eyes go, James? You can start with a player that is going to be getting your attention for this one Saturday, whether because Oklahoma needs him or you're just watching out for him for a storyline reason.
I mean, I was initially going to say pressure was my key, and I think the best guy to do that is Mason Thomas. I mean, I think getting him out there and enforcing that pressure is a big deal. I mean, Missouri had to have some shifts on their offensive line as well this season, so they're still kind of getting that together. Mason Thomas can take advantage of that. I know he's very aggressive from that side, so really want to see him. I think as a player to watch to watch out for in this one because of the ability that he has to do that. I mean, I think he's the best one on that side, so that's who I want to watch out for.
For sure. I mean, whether it's the banged up Brady Cook or backup Drew Pine, you're going to want to get after the quarterback in this game. So for sure, sticking on defense for me, I'm going to go with Eli Bowen. Best receiving core Oklahoma's going to see all year. Theo Weiss, obviously Oklahoma fans know very well, having a big year. Luther Burden, one of the best wide receivers in the sport. Like quarterback situation is up in the air, but either way, those guys are really good. And this is going to be Eli Bowen's toughest test. He's basically become Oklahoma's number one cornerback now. And he's been really good. He's passed every test so far, but this is the biggest one he's had. And having to go into that environment and line up across from whoever it is, whether it's Byrne or Weiss on a given snap, that's a big challenge for him. So I'm interested to see how he handles it. He's been excellent so far, and this will be the biggest test for him. So excited to see what he looks like out there. I'm going to go with Eli Bowen. Big game for him as he faces, a future NFL wideout probably on either side.
Yeah, kind of in a similar vein. Mine's not exactly a specific player so much it is a collective of players. I'm going with the cheetah position for Oklahoma.
Yeah.
Whether that's, Dasan McCullough, Woody Washington, Sammy Omosigho, whether we see some of the freshmen in there. And it's mostly because of Luther Burden. I mean, he's like you said, one of the best wide receivers in the nation, but 85% of his snaps have been coming in the slot. So whoever's lining up in that cheetah position is going to get matched up with him a lot. I know Oklahoma does a lot of things in the zone, so it could get switched off in different spots. But pre-snap, if he's lining up in the slot, whoever's that cheetah is probably going to be lining up against him a lot of the time. So that's one to really watch for me. I know there's been a lot of talk about, they're still kind of developing that cheetah position because, Kendall Dolby was such the ideal fit for that. And they've really missed him just because, he played bigger than he was. He was great in coverage. He was great as a blitzer. So they've kind of had to mix and match some things. I still think Dasan McCullough is their best option there right now. It feels like he's still getting his feet under him a little bit after missing most of the season due to that injury. But I think when healthy, he can be a real X factor type guy for them at that position. But just that whole group, they're going to have to do something to keep Luther Burden in check.
I really like your pick, Josh, with Eli. I mean, that's a guy who's gained so much confidence over the last couple of games. I mean, he talks to us all the time now. I mean, it seems like every scrum we get Eli because he's just playing so well. I mean, he's playing carefree right now. I mean, he's just really good. And I don't know if we all expected him to rise this fast. I know we thought we had really high hopes for him before the season, but it's been really, really incredible because he's more of an undersized cornerback in terms of what OU usually puts on the field with these taller cornerbacks as of late. But he's done really, really good, with it. I mean, he's stopping everything. So yeah, this will be a really good test for him and see if he plays well here. It's going to be the sky's the limit for him at this point.
For sure, 100%. Low hanging fruit. I'll go with throw JJ Hester in there too. Playing his former team. I mean, that's always an obvious storyline. Even if Farouk and Burks are back, it's their first game for Farouk's in eternity since the opener. Burks obviously it's been about a month. They're probably not going to play every snap, and you're going to need someone else to kind of take some of that load off them. So you have to figure JJ Hester, he wants to make a mark on this game really bad. I mean, how could you not? Playing your former team, just had his best game in an OU uniform, 112 yards last weekend. He's the leading receiver now. So finally we had a receiver pass David Burks. I know Bauer Sharp eclipsed that the week before, but we'll see. I'm interested to see that and all the connections to the side. Theo Weiss, Caden Green, who's not playing as much for them now.
He started every game. He only played 6 snaps against Alabama, but Drinkwitz said on Tuesday that they pulled him for injury related thing. I know he was listed on the availability report Wednesday night as probable. So it sounds like that's still his job. I know he did get pulled a couple weeks prior. I think it might have been in the UMass game because he had some struggles, but he came back. He started every game for them. Been at left guard, not left tackle.
Right.
So, I mean, he's been in there, and I'd expect to see him this week.
for sure. So obviously, yeah, Weiss and Caden Green and Luther Burden was an OU commit at one point in time. Chris McClellan was an OU target. Williams Noweri. It's a lot of connections over there, to say the least. Let's go ahead and pick this thing. Oklahoma, Missouri, Saturday night. It's going to be a night game. Like I said, cold-ish. Missouri was the favorite to start the week. It swung all the way back to Oklahoma being about a 3 or 4 point favorite, depending on where you look now. Speculation would be the pessimism around Brady Cook there. Missouri's offense with Drew Pine was not pretty against Alabama. Obviously got shut out in that game. I don't think Drew Pine is that, I'm trying to find the right way. He's not a very great quarterback, obviously. I don't know if he's as bad as it looked in that game, but nevertheless, that's a big difference. I guess I'm starting the picks. Colin went 13-10 yesterday. Yesterday on the pot. So low scoring. I'm going to go low too. Not quite that low, but low. I'm going to go 17-13 Oklahoma. I do think the Sooners will win. I just don't know how Missouri is going to score points, especially if Brady Cook is out, which is, again, not looking great. We don't know. It's still a question mark. But if he's out, you just feel like this is a great opportunity for Oklahoma's defense to really put together a strong day. You like what you've seen from Joe John Finley in this offense settling in the last couple of weeks. Jackson Arnold's playing free. Looks like you maybe get a receiver or two back. Again, not expecting a big offensive number. I'm saying 17-13, but they put together a couple drives. They take care of the ball. And I just think Oklahoma, Missouri, they're pretty even in terms of quality of the team, and it's in Columbia. But if Missouri is missing their quarterback, that's a huge difference. So give me the Sooners on a close one, 17-13.
Yeah, I've been kind of going back and forth. None of us know how this game's actually going to play out.
There's so many players that are questionable.
Yeah.
It makes it so hard.
But I think I'll go with my gut. I'll say Oklahoma 24-17, I think is what I had. Kind of similar. I don't expect it to be a high-scoring game anymore. I think Oklahoma's offense has gained a lot of confidence these last couple of weeks. Again, especially with that run game. And, if you get back at Jalil Farouk and at Deion Burks, even if they're not, fully immersed into the offense right now, I just think that that's another factor that kind of opened things up and can give them a little bit more confidence and just gives Jackson Arnold a couple more guys that he's comfortable throwing to. I just don't think that, Missouri, if Drew Pine's the starter in this game, is going to have enough against this Oklahoma defense.
Yeah, and I think my score actually changed a little bit after I read your article there, Josh, and on the injury updates and things like that, which if you subscribe to Sooners Illustrated, you'll get that there. That's all where the good notes are, especially what Josh has put out. I think I'm more in favor of OU after reading it, and I think it's going to be 21-14 with maybe some guys coming back that can have a really good impact on this game. And I think that can turn the game around for OU, especially on the offensive side, because I think the defense is going to show up in this one and play really well, and because they're going against maybe a backup quarterback and things like that, and a banged up running back and things like that. So I'm going 21-14. I think OU wins in a close one, but it'll be a good win for OU and get bowl eligible.
It's a big game. It's a big game. I mean, it just feels like this is Colin kind of joked about it. It's not often that from like a media standpoint you feel nervous because we're not, fans of the team or anything like that. But you just kind of, the stakes are so high. Like, it's just Oklahoma, the whole direction and vibe is so different based off what happens on Saturday, it feels like. So a lot on the line. Tom and I will be driving up there. Going to be an interesting one in Columbia. First time they've played since 2011. And we'll see what happens. So that's it for now. We'll be back, of course, full post-game reaction on Saturday after the game here on the YouTube channel from Brent Venables, coordinators, players, us. You know the drill. Full coverage on the website, oklahoma.247sports.com. There already. More to come all throughout Friday and, of course, on game day. And we'll be back on Monday for the Sooners Illustrated podcast to wrap it all up, pull it all apart, and either talk about the good vibes or the bad, depending on what happens on Saturday night. That's it for now. For Tom Green, James E. Jackson, I'm Josh Callaway. Signing off for now. We'll see you Saturday night in Columbia.